Okay, so this is another in my series of video explainers for the blog posts that I've been writing of late. So this one is a blog post that goes back a couple of weeks now. I wrote it on June 10th, and it's titled "We're using Slack plus X." So we're using Slack plus insert the name of your live chat provider. So that statement, or that like when we're talking to organizations that already use live chat, they obviously understand the importance of live chat, the importance, that's the number one preferred engagement channel for prospective customers now. So they're on board with live chat. But what we're highlighting in this blog post was that because live chat providers don't typically build in the team messaging part of the application, that you have to rely on something else. So they're relying on Slack or Microsoft Teams or HipChat or one of the other team messaging things. Or if they're not using a team messaging tool, they might be relying on email or phone calls or instant messaging to, I suppose, plug that missing feature in their live chat application. So that's really what I was getting at with this blog post. I started out. I suppose why I kind of decided to write it is like we obviously get that statement a lot. We get, we get when we're talking to people about encouraging them to shift over to using Chatify. They'll always say, "Oh, do we really need that? We're using Slack plus whatever live chat provider that they're using." So I was listening to a podcast on the Chase Jarvis Live with David Hantmeyer Hansen, who was the founder of a company called, or co-founder of a company called Basecamp. Basecamp is a project management tool, and during the interview, he touched on some of the hot startups that are, the kind of unicorns now, or the ones that like everybody's talking about, like Slack and Asana and Trello and Dropbox and all these guys. And he was DHH was kind of saying about how their entire products are actually features of Basecamp. So the way you can upload files, you can send a message, you can add a to-do list, but what he was really getting at is that why Basecamp really resonated with people is that they didn't have to kind of integrate all those different products for Basecamp to be of value to them. It just had those features. And like when I was thinking about what we're doing in Chatify, it's actually team messaging is one of those killer features for us, because how you message or how you chat internally in terms of delivering customer support, that's such a key feature that relying on a third-party application like Microsoft Teams or Slack or HipChat or whatever team messaging tool, relying on a third-party application undermines the whole value proposition of your live chat. And that's why that's what this blog post is really all about. So I kind of covered off three kind of fundamental reasons why relying on a third-party application to plug that team messaging piece is a really bad idea. So number one was cost. So if you're using Slack plus a live chat provider, you're obviously paying for Slack and you're paying for your live chat application. Two was app switching. And what I mean by that is that you're constantly switching out of your live chat application and into whatever application you use to contact your colleagues. So, and that could be, if you don't have a designated one, it could be like, you're contacting some people on email, other people on WhatsApp, other people on, something like Skype or whatever. So you're switching between apps all the time, and that slows everything down. So then the third one that I highlighted it there as a really bad reason for doing this is if you use Slack, you'll know that some Slack channels can get very, very noisy and people tend to tune out of them. And the problem that causes for customer support is that if you're pushing questions into busy Slack channels, the chances of them being overlooked are very high. So it can basically, you start to miss inbound queries. So cost, app switching, and noise are three reasons why this approach, so using Slack plus your live chat provider, is a really bad idea. So as I said in the blog post as well, don't get me wrong, we're not Slack haters at all. It's a brilliant product. It's just like we even offer a Slack integration ourselves. But the key thing here is that team messaging is so fundamental to the value that our app offers, and that outsourcing it to a third-party application would just completely undermine their value proposition. So having team messaging as a core part of Chatify, kind of like what are the benefits that this delivers for our customers. So number one is efficiency. So having all of your team and all of your customer chat in one app makes dealing with customer queries so much more efficient. Like you can assign chats to different colleagues or departments, or you can loop in different colleagues to assist with one part of a customer query. And being able to collaborate on chats just delivers a better experience for your team and your customer. So that efficiency thing is key for us. Number two is context. So the advantage of having a team messaging piece inside in Chatify means that you're always discussing the customer queries like right where the customer query came into the organization. So I highlighted a feature in the blog post called Chat, which allows you to layer an internal private chat on top of a customer chat, and this speeds everything up because your team can read the customer thread while discussing the question internally. And this context means that you don't have to transcribe the customer's issue to somewhere else. Everyone can read it then and there. It's really, really powerful. Like Chat is actually one of my favorite features of Chatify. The third thing then that I pulled out was no more app switching. So when you're using Chatify, not all of your team are going to be online in Chatify all of the time. But what really matters is that if you mention a colleague in a chat or in a group, or if you assign a question to them, they will automatically get notified. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go hunting them down. Chatify takes care of notifying them, pull them back into Chatify. They reply or they offer their input, and the whole thing is pretty seamless. And the fourth thing then that I said that I pulled out as well was no more customer queries lost in noisy channels. I kind of covered this a little bit earlier there, but like the bigger your team is on Slack, the more of an issue this becomes. Like reading through busy Slack channels can be extremely time consuming, and some people end up tuning out. And you might find that customer responses kind of get delayed, or even worse, they get overlooked. So kind of as we see it, the Slack plus X approach is really just a workaround. Team messaging is so core to customer support that your live chat either has it, your live chat app either has it, or you're relying on something else to plug the gap. So that's what our Slack plus X blog post was about. So if your approach, if that's your current setup, so you're using Slack plus something else, why don't you think about giving Chatify a try? It'll just make it's not that there is one killer feature that differentiates all of these different apps, but it's like how you package up really important features and how you think about the customer support process, and that's what differentiates apps. And for us, team messaging is one of those, it's so fundamental to delivering good customer support that is something that we wouldn't be comfortable outsourcing to a third-party application. Chatify has gone really big on having really good team messaging internal collaboration piece, and I think if you try Chatify versus what you're using already, you'll very quickly see the power of having that team messaging piece right in there. Okay, thanks again for taking the time to watch the video. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get a chance to work with you pretty soon. Thank you.